At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Thompson, it's your boy Peens. Hey, I was thinking about the logo, right? So maybe we could put like the stamp in the middle, and I was thinking we can maybe add some Florida skies, throw some bears in there. Bears are important. Fuck it, throw a mountain in there. I was going with the whole Bob Ross vibe. He's from Florida, so yeah, Bob Ross the vibe, and I think it'll be good. So it'll be like the Fresh Produce Podcast. Yeah, man, work your magic, and let's see if we can try to drop 2 of these a week. If not, then we're gonna look like slackers. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you soon. Peace.
If you are satisfied with your message, press 1 to listen to your message. Press 2 to erase. You have pressed an incorrect key. If you are satisfied, you have pressed an incorrect key. If you are satisfied, sorry you're having trouble. Your message has been sent. Please.
Kind of janky ass, backwoods, Florida ass podcast. You got my ass on. Shit works. It doesn't work. Hey. You know what I mean? Sometimes it works for like 10 minutes and then we're all good.
I'm
Florida.
I'm not opposed to pirating
Florida.
Shit when shit doesn't work.
Florida.
We back.
And barbecue chips.
You like them things? Does that give you indigestion?
Yeah.
It does?
Yeah, so does beer. And so does this candy I'm about to eat.
Does this shirt give you indigestion?
No, it doesn't.
Free hugs.
It gives me heartworms. Not worms, but warms. Like warm hearts. Like a warm feeling.
Hugs.
Free hugs.
Give free hugs to anyone that you love. Shout out to our sponsor, justdoitvegan.com. Get yourself an extra large, XXX, or any fat boy size that you can fit into. I'm marketing to the fat people. They just hired me as a plus size model. I'm going to be representing.
Yeah, we also do tank tops, onesies, baby things. Well, not for you specifically, but if you want one.
Nah, I'm good on the tank tops.
Just contact.
I like my sleeves.
Yeah.
Yeah. My arms get cold. It's extra protection.
My son used to not like to wear tank tops because it showed that little part where the arm meets.
Oh, yeah? My side boob shows.
This was when he was like 2 or 3. You know what I mean? Not even like 7 or 8 or something.
He was conscious about it, though.
Just like at 2 years old, he was just like wanted a shirt on. Or just shirt off. But no tank top.
I often wonder when it is you really start to develop what you like. Like our nephew, Rory, he likes these little Disney Crocs. They're like Croc sandals. Mm-hmm. And he loves those things. And he chose them. And he's 2 years old, These are his. So I think even as a young person, you know what you like and what you don't like. I think
at a certain point, I guess, yeah. For a while there, you're probably just liking whatever your folks like.
That's true, but I think as far as let's just break it down to super simple human intellect, right? I either like something or I don't like something, right? You know what I mean?
Right. I either fear it or I love it.
Right, and I think if that's the basis of humanity, then we should be more open, especially when it's a popular way of thinking. Then that's the way that we should move, and we shouldn't fight it. What do you think?
Popular? Maybe as long as it's not hurting anybody.
I think that well, if it's not hurting anybody, true, but
popular, yes and no.
What if everybody votes for it?
That's obviously there. I mean, if we're living in a democratic society, right?
Right.
And everybody's voting for something, then whether I like it or not, then it should be what it is.
Right. And then you don't think the government should intervene after the majority votes, right?
No, I mean, in what way other than to enforce said policy that I voted on?
Right.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Hold
on, another one.
Stop before.
Hey, Fredo, I'd really like.
Stop for a second. I don't know how I keep getting surprised. Or I keep forgetting. You know what I mean? at least today it's not
That's
about
what makes
like a
it.
sad
That's what
subject.
makes her being part of the podcast so special.
So okay, to be clear,
shout out to Kimberly.
Kimberly was a.
We're past that. We're on
robotic-
episode 3 with her already.
I don't understand what's
We're on
happening.
episode 3. She's already part of it. Why are you still confused?
But now we definitely have to
It's
refer to
becoming
her
a little
as
disrespectful.
she.
I'm just saying.
That's what we're saying, though. We definitely have to refer to her as she. Is that what you're saying?
We live in a free society where we accept
though,
everybody for who they are, Thompson.
This is clearly
Thompson, you drove a float in a gay
recording or
pride
something.
parade.
What does
You
that
should be able
mean?
to accept this.
What does that even mean?
Gentlemen, how are you?
Oh my god!
Back for another one. Hey Fredo, I'd really like to thank you for slipping me that marijuana digital synthetic analog. Probably the closest I can get to a real marijuana high.
Marijuana?
At first I thought you were trying to Bill Cosby me, but I'm really starting to
I
like
would
this
never
high.
Bill Cosby you.
So I appreciate you for not taking advantage of me.
No.
I've been researching the Me Too movement and I'm just waiting for a motherfucker to slip up.
Oh no.
So anyway, this episode is about
bad.
Florida medical marijuana. Why is smokable marijuana not allowed? Florida residents voted for it. Is attorney Jhon Morgan really Santa Claus? Will medical cannabis help Thompson and Fredo with their hairline? Stick around and find out. It's the Fresh Produce Florida podcast. Hosted by Kimberly.
Yo, hold on, Kimberly. There's 2 other hosts.
Produce.
She said it's hosted by Kimberly. She didn't even include us.
There's so much wrong with that, Kimberly. We gotta edit her more.
Edit? No, we don't edit nobody in life. We let them be who they want to be.
It's so not.
Thompson, we voted for smokable marijuana. We voted to.
Well, to be fair, I didn't vote for. I didn't vote that year.
You did now because we, as a people, Kimberly, what was the percentage of voters? Break it down for us, please.
Kimberly.
Florida Amendment 2 passed during the general election on November 8, 2016, with a vote of 71.3% for versus 28.7%
That's a lot.
against.
That's a lot more.
The goal of Amendment 2 is to alleviate those suffering from these medical conditions: cancer, epilepsy, glaucoma, positive status for human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, Crohn's disease, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, chronic non-malignant pain caused by a qualifying medical condition or that originates from a
back pain, that's
qualified
me.
medical condition or other debilitating medical conditions comparable to those listed. Under Amendment 2, medical marijuana will be given to the patient if the physician believes that the medical use of marijuana would likely outweigh the potential health risks for a patient. Under the Florida regulations, smoking the medication is not allowed. Instead, the product can be consumed as edibles or by vaping, oils, sprays or pills.
Ooh.
However, on May 25,
I didn't know that helped.
2018, Leon County Circuit Court Judge Karen Jivers ruled that the ban on smoking is unconstitutional. That ruling is now under appeal.
It's unconstitutional? How is it unconstitutional?
Because if the majority of the voters voted for it, then she believes that by the state coming in and saying, hey, let's go ahead and take everything that you guys voted for except for this part, that makes it unconstitutional. Because if we voted it into the Constitution as a majority and part of, because Jhon Morgan kind of explains the whole thing a little better than I do.
You don't say.
Jhon Morgan is a great specimen of a man.
Okay. It's a lot of love, but okay. It's a random angle.
So what I'd like to
Our
do
angle.
is to tell you where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. As you know, over 72% of the people of Florida voted to have medical marijuana in the state of Florida. In the lead up to that, we had to put together something called the Statement of Intent.
So
In that Statement of Intent,
this is the guy that wrote the
lays
law
out
for us.
our intent.
John Morgan wrote the law.
Him and his, posse.
We clearly
Morgan to
laid
Morgan,
out
Morgan to Morgan. And as my daddy always told me when they put me to bed at night, Morgan to Morgan to Morgan to Morgan to Morgan.
For the people.
Have you seen that on the YouTubes? I love that when they have them all strung together. Morgan to Morgan to Morgan, Morgan to Morgan. Sorry.
So they got together, they wrote all this stuff into law. Part of the law was Smokeable.
Lawyers can write stuff into law?
Yeah.
What?
Well, you get
Is that
together.
how it works?
Well, what you do is you get together a group of people that consist of lawyers and government folk from the health department, from the state department, right? And you put together the law, right? And then
lawyers?
You have to. The lawyers.
I didn't know any of this.
The lawyers put it together because they're lawyers. They know the legal jargon.
Google this directly after.
Well, he's going to explain it.
Okay, sorry.
So they put the law together, right? These are the intents of the law, and now they present it to the people, and the people have to vote for it. That was Amendment 2. Once they vote for it, it becomes law. It doesn't mean that they're actually granting in the law. They're writing up the wordage of it so that it can become a constitutional memorandum.
Law. That's all.
Allow. That's all.
Young Gotti? No. Lil Gotti? No. Gotti. What's the
Yo Gotti.
Yo Gotti. It was one of the Gottis.
Smoking
That's loud.
marijuana will be used as part of medical marijuana. Very clear. The state has argued, if you can believe it or not, that the statement of intent really doesn't matter because the voters don't read it. That's like saying, well, I guess people who don't read the paper can't vote. The statement of intent was also used by the state in their case against Joe Redner. When they needed the statement of intent, they said, look at the statement of intent.
He's a prominent titty bar owner, gentleman's club in Tampa, and he has a lung cancer. And basically, I'll show the video after this. He basically fought the government to say that he's allowed to grow his own marijuana and do whatever he wants with it.
But he doesn't want to smoke it if he has lung cancer, right?
That's what I'm saying. He sees benefits to it.
The smoking?
Because he goes through radiation and then he loses his appetite and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's why cancer patient, HIV patients mostly smoke it because it stimulates their appetite.
intent.
And the lung cancer he had was a growth. It wasn't like a specific bad lungs per se. There was a tumor growing in his lung.
When they don't look at that, when they don't want the statement of intent, they say the voters don't read it, so it doesn't matter. But we clearly laid out that smokable marijuana was anticipated. We then went further in the ballot. You can only have so many words in the actual ballot wording. And we said very clearly there that smokable marijuana would not be allowed in public. Now look, I don't think you have to be too much of a scholar to understand that if it's not allowed in public, it's allowed in private. So clearly, from the statement of intent, the ballot language, we always believed and knew that that was what it was anticipating. Also remember this, the state of Florida, the legislature, they could have done anything. They could have said no edibles. They could have said no cream. They could have said no vapor.
So that's a point I need to make. So they bring up the law, they give it to the legislator. That's the board that governs the new laws that are going to come in. Then they go through it, and then they present it as an amendment, and then the people have to vote on it. So that's who makes the laws, really. And the legislator are hired by the state and their lawyers. You know what I mean?
I don't, but I hear you.
Well, it's a group of people that is hired by the state to push forward ideas that can become into laws, and those are amendments, and these amendments get voted on.
But they're lawyers.
Yeah.
What?
Well, Pam Bondi, you know who Pam Bondi is? She's your state attorney.
Yeah, I know that.
She's a lawyer.
I never thought of it. I thought she was more like a cop.
No. So the way the law works is that you have the state attorneys. They represent the states and the so-called victims at times, right? And this is criminal justice. Okay, so they basically, when the cops arrest you, they have to bring their case to the state attorney, and the state attorney is who prosecutes you. That's why they're called a prosecutor. Then you go get a defense attorney, right? And the defense attorney represents you, and they defend you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's criminal law, right? In civil law, you also have two sides of it, right? You have the plaintiff attorney, and you have the defense attorney. So they sue each other.
Yeah.
And then in judicial law, you have attorneys that are not necessarily defense or prosecutors. They just write laws and present amendments so that we can vote on them. You also have to have a lot of money.
And who comes to them with the ideas for the laws? The
Lobbyists. Lawyers and lobbyists.
So that's where the problem is, right?
Well, no, the problem is that we voted for it, and then the government.
No, I'm not. I guess yes. The conversation is about smoking marijuana,
yeah,
but I mean,
as
like,
far as corporate influence, because they come in with a lot of money, and then the lobbyists come in. They play golf with the senator, the commissioner, or the state attorney, and they try to sway them on their ideas, and then say, "Hey, I'll slip you a little bit extra money next time you run for office,"
But with the smokable marijuana, somebody wrote an amendment. They wrote an amendment. We voted on it as a
70%
constituent.
As a population of Florida, we decided, okay, this is the law. We agree with it. And then once we voted, here comes the health department and Rick Scott and say, well, people weren't reading that, and we don't want smokable marijuana because we don't want people out smoking it in public. And with Jhon
people
Morgan,
didn't read the amendment.
He's saying that we're stupid enough to just vote on something and not read it.
People didn't read the amendment.
That's what he's saying.
That's wild. That's so wild. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And that's why they fought it. They brought it in front of a judge, the Lee County judge. She said it was unconstitutional what the state was doing. So, no, you're allowed to smoke it. And then Rick Scott came in and again and is like, no, we're going to appeal it. So that's the process we're in right now, is the appeal.
Rick Scott's still fighting it.
Yeah. Now, the bigger question is, I want you guys to really ask yourself.
Oh, wait, I take it back. I did vote for that. I'm sorry. That was when Trump got elected, right?
Yeah, you're the reason why Rick Scott thinks we don't read.
Because I forgot I voted for the
But this is the bigger question, right? Is Jhon Morgan...
That is pretty sad, though. Sorry about that.
But ask yourself, I want the audience to really ask themselves, because this is something. Is Jhon Morgan really Kris Kringle?
Why are we're taking a complete right hand turn? Right, because it's happening during Christmas.
Jhon Morgan brings the gifts, especially during Christmas.
Yeah.
Look at his facial structure.
Okay.
He looks a little Kris Kringle-y, bro. Is Santa the reason why Florida has medical marijuana?
Oh, goodness. If it was dropping Christmas night, if the decision was being made Christmas night, then maybe.
Come on, look at those cheeks. Look at the cheek structure.
It's close. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's close.
So the reason why Florida, the United States, doesn't like marijuana. Remember Reefer Maddness?
I don't remember it, but I know about it.
All right. There was a guy from Tampa in the 1930s named Victor Letitia.
Okay.
You guys remember the documentary Reefer Maddness?
Yeah.
How about Victor Licata?
Victor Licata
was an American murderer who used an axe to kill his family in Ybor City, Florida, on October 16, 1933. The killings, which were reported by the media as the work of an axe-murdering marijuana addict, were used as prima facie evidence that there was a link between recreational drugs, such as cannabis, and crime. This led to the killings being used in 1930s anti-drug campaigns against marijuana. Modern researchers have found that marijuana was never mentioned in any of Licata's psychiatric reports or considered a factor in the killings. Instead, it was established that the young man had been identified as mentally ill and there had been steps to incarcerate him before the murders. 2 weeks after the murder of his family, 20-year-old Licata was declared unfit to stand trial for reasons of insanity and committed to the Florida State Hospital for the Insane.
So this is a guy from Tampa that axe murdered his family, and they said he was on a marijuana craze. And this is what the government used to do. And this started in Florida, which is crazy, right?
That's pretty crazy.
And
the
this
propaganda.
guy, Victor, all right, he looks a little homicidal.
He's all right.
I don't think he really weed,
looks like he
crack,
needs a
any
nap
type
or
of
something.
drugs. It's not gonna. He's still gonna murder people. My humble
Give me a
opinion.
nap and a hug, a little sandwich, something like that.
Tell your children. So this is how we used to
Deadlier than the most.
use propaganda to really
Always, yeah.
brainwash people into
Same thing
thinking.
with black people. Say the same thing.
So I think that's the real reason that someone like Rick Scott can come in and say no smokable marijuana. It's like the spirit in Florida to come in and basically assume things.
I wonder why though. Like what to, let's call them the Republicans.
Conservative values. It's
What-
being like straight edge, you know.
It's about this of it all.
My thing is the government. Have you ever heard of Irving Rosenfeld? Is that did I say that right?
I don't know who that is.
This guy is a guy from Florida too. All right. He's been getting government marijuana for the last 34 years. This guy gets 300 joints sent to him from a Mississippi marijuana program that the government allowed to be, that they sanctioned to do marijuana test trials. So this guy has a debilitating condition that basically gives him really bad muscle
What
spasms.
kind of condition?
It's like a muscle, kind of like an ALS, Parkinson, kind of Lou Gehrig's sort of disease. And it gives him muscle spasms. And I'm not a doctor, by the way. I know I sound like one. But basically, the government, he took it all the way to the Supreme Court and said, hey, this marijuana really helps me. So him and I think along with 12 other people in the United States have been getting a container. I want to show you guys this container of 300 joints. He says it's kind of swag. But he's been getting it since the 70s. So the government doesn't want you to know this. The federal government, who basically puts marijuana as a Schedule I drug, they don't want you to know that they've been giving marijuana to certain patients already since the 70s, right? So there's a complete hypocrisy that's going on. And it does, a lot of these
Part of a
stories.
study?
Well, it was part of a study, and it was also part of the fact that the judges agreed with the fact that, hey, this guy might die, and if this is helping him, the government can't intervene, like we have to allow this person to have medical treatment. If this plant is helping him, let's do it, you know what I mean? So this is a little on the story of Irvin.
The government hates to admit that they've already acknowledged that marijuana is a medicine. Acknowledged it in the 1970s and 80s when they allowed dozens of Americans to receive a monthly supply of marijuana from the government's marijuana farm at the University of Mississippi. Some of those people are still alive and still obtaining it today, their monthly canister of marijuana.
Fort Lauderdale.
That's awesome.
Now, here's where I keep my cannabis. Keep it refrigerated, it stays fresher. I receive 1 tin of 300 pre-rolled cigarettes, approximately 300 cigarettes, every 25 days from the federal government.
Wow.
And here it's hermetically sealed with wax to try to keep the freshness and the strength up. This marijuana was actually grown right here in April of 1996. So it's been packaged and frozen since then. And then you open it up. Okay, inside you'll see that there's approximately 300 rolled cigarettes.
Dude, they roll them for you.
Number one, we're sorry. Number one, we're gonna. the validity or the truthness or the authenticity of that right there, I'm interested to know if that's
It's 100% fact.
if it indeed is. There's somebody somewhere right now rolling up weed getting paid by the government.
No, he doesn't get paid. They send him free weed. He doesn't get paid.
Not that guy who got it, but the person who rolled it was paid by the government.
Yeah, in Mississippi
to roll up the weed.
Yeah.
What do you think they have there? Like
Look how nice they did.
I know. This is what I'm talking about. They're all the same. They're all the same.
Maybe they got a rolling machine.
They have to have like a line, like an assembly line. Like they really like governmentized, logistics of doing that.
At a university in Mississippi, and this guy's been in Fort Lauderdale since the 70s getting this.
300 for 325 days?
Every 25 days he gets 300 joints. Perfectly rolled joints.
Every month he gets 10 a day?
Basically.
10 joints a day?
Yeah.
10 joints a day. What's he doing? All right. Okay, cool. We're good. Hit play.
To this tin and sold by a cigarette machine.
And the government's been doing it.
Okay.
Your boy Uncle Sam said it was cool.
Listen, I can't say that I all the way believe this. This is too crazy to believe for me. I'm sorry. No, I'll be devil's advocate.
100% real. Look up Irving Rosenfeld. Rosenfeld. This is 100% real. He's going to explain it.
5 days, I don't have to worry about medicine. That I know that I'll be as well as I possibly can be, and that I don't have to worry. My door down and come arrest me because of this medicine.
That was a digital fart, ladies and gentlemen.
They didn't want to say like who the law enforcement. Sound like they didn't want to say like called out a law enforcement agency.
If the law enforcement comes through,
I'm saying that it dropped out right when he was saying like DEA or FBI or whatever he was saying.
Oh, okay.
I suffer from are multiple congenital cartilaginous exostosis.
See, I couldn't even pronounce that, but that's what he suffers from.
And a variant of the syndrome, pseudo-hypoparathyroidism. In lay terms, what it means is bone tumors that grow outwardly from the long bones, such as this, grow outwardly into the muscles and the veins, stretching the muscles and the veins, making it very painful. But more important, any kind of movement can tear the muscle or tear the vein, and I could hemorrhage, and a clot could break off, go to my heart, my brain, my lungs, I'm dead.
Is he smoking and driving?
Well, he's got to, because there's too much.
That's a little too much, though.
Into his arms, and if he's driving and he turns his arm too fast, it'll snap and cause a blood clot that can go to his heart. If we're believing this guy, if we're believing this video, which again I'm having a hard time doing because this is crazy shit. So this is 06, it looks like,
and this has been going on since the late 70s. No, this is 96. Because he showed he brought out the pot and it was labeled 1996.
Okay. No, that's when it was grown. That little card thing just said 06. No.
Oh, okay. So maybe I'm wrong.
I usually try to get in, if I can, 10 to 12 marijuana cigarettes per day.
Try to get in 10. Got to do it. Got to meet the quota. I usually try to. I mean, they're gonna send me 300 more next month. I gotta smoke all these. Anybody want to come over?
Cannabis definitely does is relax the muscles going over these tumors. Thereby, I can move and not have to worry about tearing anything. I'm ready to go to work and I try to make some money for myself and my clients. More important for my clients. When people see me taking my medicine, they don't understand that it's medicine, and they think all I'm trying to do is get high, and that I've got some kind of balls to be able to do it in public. Of course, I try to explain to them right away that it's medical use provided by the federal government, and I'm sure most people just kind of laugh and go, "Yeah, right."
Including Thompson.
Yeah, right.
I became the second person.
I could go to a place and get a little card and get that in the mail and still not believe it. Like if they were to send me a 10 of pre-rolled 300, I'm just looking at it like, I don't believe this. This is crazy. I'm being set up. I'm being set up right now. Y'all setting me up
to receive medical cannabis from the federal government. Robert Randall is the first patient.
We welcome to Larry King Live, Bob Randall, the first American ever to gain legal
88.
access to marijuana because of his glaucoma condition. Why are you allowed to use these, Robert?
I have a disease called glaucoma, and marijuana at this point is the only drug that will help prolong my sight.
You could smoke it now legally, couldn't you?
Sure.
Do it fine.
Okay.
Yeah, do it.
Yo,
Do it.
Larry King
You can smoke it now, right?
Up.
Right? Do it.
I don't remember.
Do it.
This is a first.
How's it taste? How's it taste? Tell me how it tastes.
I wonder if Snoop Dogg ever did that.
What? Smoke with Larry King?
On Larry King Live.
Usually you're not allowed to smoke inside of those studios.
27 years with Bob Randall.
No, that guy got a card.
That guy's federally allowed to.
Years he was using 10 marijuana cigarettes a day, federally supplied. And I can assure you he was not a stoner. He had a terrific memory. He was extremely articulate. He was highly motivated when it came to particularly.
Yeah, man.
Sounds like me.
Just it accentuates things about you is a lot of times. So if you're gonna be a lazy piece of shit, you can be a lazy piece of shit whether you get high or not. But is the government gonna send you 300 every 25 days?
Yeah,
That's the question.
you still don't believe it?
That's so. It's hard to believe. Is all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, because it's a slap in the face. It's like you're gonna let these people do it, and then okay, I get it. They haven't voted for it, and then now we voted for it.
Yeah. That's
and
the
you're
part.
still not gonna let us. Like this guy's been doing it since how long?
That's why I was holding this up because this isn't curing anything.
Yeah, but that was granted. That's exactly what should happen with marijuana, but it wasn't. It wasn't ever prescribed, at least to my knowledge, as a medicinal remedy.
That's what I'm saying. This isn't curing anything, and it's legal.
Right.
That's my point. Yeah.
And the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
So these are the people in Florida that are obviously me and Thompson want to smoke up, and we have anxiety and we have problems with our hairline and different things like this.
He's not speaking for me.
But there are actual people with like ALS. There are actual people with debilitating conditions that the government is basically stopping from reaching a peaceful, just comfortability. Like we're comfortable right now. Some people smoke to get comfortable. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to find this video and it's taking me a second because my internet is only $55 a month.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. So there's this lady that her and her husband have been dealing basically with the Florida government for the last like 10 or 15 years. And they have gone to court. They have asked Rick Scott to basically allow this to happen. And where's the lady at?
Where's DeSantis on the whole medical marijuana?
Where's the what?
DeSantis?
According to him, he doesn't really want to like pursue it in a sense. Like he's not going to do the same thing as Rick Scott because he's realized that people already voted for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is it.
All right.
Joe Redner, you know that name. Famous for
You know that name.
and for his many legal battles with the city, which tried to shut him down. But this latest legal victory that he has just won could have a ripple effect in Florida's medical marijuana industry. Aaron Mesmer spoke
Jay
tonight.
Cashmere.
This is a very interesting lawsuit. Tell us about it, Aaron.
Well, Mark, this goes back to 2016 when Florida voters passed an amendment legalizing medical marijuana. Joe Redner wants to grow his own plants because he says it's the most efficient way to help him deal with stage 4 lung cancer. But the Florida Department of Health told him no. And Redner sued, and a legal expert tells us the state lost this case before it ever went to court.
And this large mass here was his primary lung cancer.
This is a fight Joe Redner had to try to win.
Damn.
Stage 4 lung cancer.
Stage 4.
It's a deadly diagnosis he received in 2011, and he met it head on with aggressive chemotherapy.
It is one of the worst conditions you could ever be in.
So he turned to marijuana to deal with the painful treatment.
Marijuana relaxes you, lets you lose yourself from all the pain.
Redner's cancer battle led to his next
Amendment 2.
after Floridians voted to legalize medical marijuana
Amendment
in
2.
2016.
Like I said, I remember voting for the.
Remember how we lost it in like 2014, and then we had to wait 2 years?
Yeah.
We lost it by like a smidge.
By a smidge, and then we won it by a smatter.
Redner wanted to grow it himself and
In a
use it in
smoothie.
a smoothie.
What?
As his doctor
That's not. He ain't smoking it.
I guess I was wrong about that.
recommended. The state said he couldn't, so he filed a lawsuit. And on Wednesday, a judge sided with Redner, saying he can grow
Is
the
he
plants
baking
for
it
medicinal use only.
I'm happy
Not
for
even
all the
baking it
people
first.
that
So
stay
hold
in
on.
Florida.
So how does he? He's not baking. Is he baking it first to activate? So how does just the weed itself is helping him?
Supposedly, it's really good for you when you juice it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of antioxidants, and the cannabinoids react differently when you ingest it that way.
Wow. Good for you in that way, huh? Interesting.
This guy used to own titty bars in Tampa.
You know that name. That's the guy, Jay Cashmere.
For Florida's medical marijuana
Wait, no,
industry
that's Jay, sorry.
was almost thrown into confusion tonight.
That's right. A last-hour appeal by the governor has put at least a temporary halt to big changes
You hear
that
his
had
voice
some
echoing.
already in the cannabis industry worried. News Channel 5's Matt Cesney is live in Boynton Beach
Look
outside
at
a
him.
dispensary with what
Look at Matt
this
Skizny.
means, Matt.
Well, first of all, the governor did cut this close. He beat a deadline of just an hour ago, putting a halt to a judge's ruling that could have opened up the state's medical marijuana industry to a lot more businesses and possibly overwhelm regulators. Medical marijuana is now a booming business in Florida after winning approval from 70% of voters.
It was something that benefited me, more than harmed me.
Colin Translow says having this medical marijuana dispensary in Boynton Beach is much better than driving to Miami.
More convenient. It's so much more convenient, that they open one in Boynton.
Expanding dispensaries and access is at the heart of a legal battle in Florida and led to a Tallahassee judge to strike down a state law and open up the licensing process.
It's definitely going to create confusion.
Brady Cobb is the CEO of a cannabis company called Scythian Biosciences that is now trying to break into the Florida medical marijuana marketplace with planned dispensaries.
Legalizing marijuana has made drug dealers look a lot more professional and clean cut. Just want to throw that in there. Sky.
This is a legislative.
10, 20 years ago, drug dealers looked like
flip-flops.
Drug dealers used to look thuggish. Now they look like they
Well,
hang
it's
out
not
and
a
play
drug,
golf.
though, right? Are we talking? It's not a drug. It's a herb. It's a plant.
You're right.
Issue. If there's going to be a change to this law, the legislature needs to enact that change, not one judge in one circuit in one town.
Which is why Governor Rick Scott is now at the center of the battle, deciding to appeal the judge's ruling and try to maintain control over who grows and
Yeah,
sells
mainly
the medical
them,
cannabis.
right? He can figure out a way to bring that to the own government only. Does the guy who gets it in the tin, does he pay for it?
That's a good question. No, actually, he doesn't. He gets it straight from the Mississippi, the University of Mississippi. They just grow it for him.
Is it part of a program?
Yeah. Let me see if I can find the program on here. What would it be? Fed? MISSIPPI.
MISSISSIPPI.
University.
College tour vlog. Ole Miss Gracie Smith. Shout out.
I don't know what this is, but it seems interesting.
This is medical marijuana legal. It also set no limit on the number of plants a patient could grow. Todd McCormick decided to grow 4,000 plants here in this Bel Air mansion. He suffers from histiocytosis X, has 5 fused vertebrae, when the federal government decided to make an example out of him. After this case, it was quite clear that the federal government would only tolerate up to 99 plants being grown here in the state of California.
That's so random.
Damn, that's where they grow it. So this is University of Mississippi Cannabis Garden 2014.
Allegedly.
There's nobody that's gonna like speak about it.
When was your last physical?
I get physical every day.
Let's get physical.
University of Mississippi, home to the Lyceum, William Faulkner, Ole Miss football, the only federally funded marijuana farm in the country. Wait, what?
For all intents and purposes, you're the government's sole producer of marijuana.
Correct. Dr. Mahmoud El-Soli oversees the University of Mississippi's marijuana project with over 6,000
But
plants.
that dude said it was trash.
I heard that. I was just throwing that around because I seen him on a couple other interviews, and he was smoking some like really good California shit.
Kilo upon kilo of weed. Its mission? To aid law enforcement and produce pot for federal study, mostly related to addiction.
Any investigator that really needs to do research, bona fide research, they can't get their material from our program.
Obviously, putting a pot farm smack in the center of a college campus raises some, shall we say, security concerns, especially with varieties that El-Soli says have a THC concentration
Oh, they're growing that goodie out there.
of more than 30%. So the university installed a little security.
Is this where? A
little security.
You remember in Half Baked when he broke into the lab and got the Bowie Wowie?
Thanks, scientist. I know it's not your job, but clean the rest of this shit for me. I love that part.
20 high-definition cameras, double barbed wire fencing, and armed guards.
It's a requirement in the contract to satisfy DEA requirements. Security is all over the place.
More than 40 years ago, when the university launched its marijuana project, legalizing pot was little more than a joke. But now, a majority of Americans favor legalization, and more than 20 states have approved marijuana for medical use. Yet Ole Miss, not those states, is the only place to get sanctioned and funded pot for study.
The shift in American public opinion on marijuana has coincided with an uptick in research requests for the plant. But that, not unlike an Ole Miss student trying to get into here, is not an easy process.
It involves many acronyms. First, there's NIDA. It gives the university the contract to grow the pot. Then, interested researchers get NIH or HHS to sign off on their products. The FDA also has a say. And then the DEA must approve of the storage, handling, and transfers of the marijuana. And this can all take months or even years.
There's no shortage of interest in doing this research, but if you talk to up and coming
Marijuana Policy Project.
The time,
Daniel
the money,
Riffle.
the energy, the effort required to jump through all of those hoops, it's just not worth it.
Is it your sense for research purposes that the process is too onerous now?
Well,
onerous.
It might be. It takes a longer time.
El-Soli's counter to his critics? Research takes years. A few more months won't hurt.
Oh, this is interesting.
I'm Jeff Bishop. I'm the co-founder of
Whoa.
RagingBull.com.
We know why.
Jeff Bishop.
Hundreds of years of persecution and abuse, the U.S.
Yeah,
government.
he said it right off the.
redefined
He said it right off the
Indian
top.
trust responsibility.
Said why Native
It was a
Americans can
pivotal
legally grow pot because of all the years of killing and raping and displacement and cultural.
But they get their own land. They're able to gamble and do stuff like that.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
You know how they like the Miccosukee gets their own.
No, yeah. I mean, I get that they get their own thing, but like, what do you mean? But they get.
Since they're federally protected, they get their own land. They get their own police. They basically govern their own land. Why Why? When they let them grow their own weed?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why. Because of
persecution.
For the same reason that they have their own land and
all right, we won't research that then.
It's a pretty simple answer. It's like, why do the Native Americans get to do it and we can't? I don't know. Remember, because like their grandparents were
2,200 pounds
tortured
of pot,
and
and it is all legal. As a bill to allow medical
all
marijuana
of
in
that
Tennessee
other
is being
stuff.
debated by lawmakers, we went inside the only legal pot farm in the United States. It's right here in the Mid-South. Eyewitness News reporter Allison Sossman takes you inside the government staff.
She got the sauce. Sauceman.
Clinical trials are being conducted to determine the medical benefits of marijuana. Any marijuana used in those studies started here in this room.
No seeds at all. No seeds, no stems.
Dr. Mahmoud El
No seeds, no stems. Yo, he listens to the Chronic. No seeds, no stems.
We are charged with growing, harvesting, processing, manipuring.
Oh, look at it. Look, it's good.
Cannabis
No
for research
seeds, no
purposes,
stems.
and
No.
also manufacturing of cigarettes for the same purpose.
See?
From seedlings and petri dishes to fully
This is where
grown
Irvin
plants.
gets his
For 30
package.
years, El Soli's overseen the facility that sees the production of pot from start to finish.
Cans like that, each one will have 300.
This marijuana
That's the same thing Irving was getting.
Exact same thing, dude. See, now I'm more.
be used for a number of
Now I
medical
believe it.
purposes. Everything from cancer
Just because
patients
this
to
is like a news story.
But El Soli says these
They're shooting inside the lab.
You believe it because of the production value?
Because of where they're at right now.
How are people ever going to believe our historical
Because
facts?
of where they're at right now. Because we show this stuff. Because of where they're at literally right now, at least the way it looks.
It's the doctor that said,
Inside-
no stems, no seeds. That's what sold you.
Inside the lab, in all of that, like even the drone shot of the plants, I could like be like, but now we're inside of a lab and we're talking to the doctor.
Some white
The doctor's holding the thing.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Doctor
this one right
and
here,
white lady.
300.
Consistent facts.
White lady, black lady, Asian lady, what Russian lady, Italian lady, whatever. That part of it. But look at that, 9/22, my birthday. I just believe it. Eyewitness News. Boom. I believe it.
Good plant is a good, good drug in itself, but it just needs to be used in the right way of using a drug, which is some other way besides smoking it.
El Soli says most benefits from marijuana come from THC. When you smoke it, you inhale thousands of other chemicals along with the THC. His lab is working on other ways to ingest it.
And we have developed a process that takes the plant material, make an extract out of the plant material.
Until there's a more controlled way
How much
to
is that
prescribe
bucket's
the
worth?
Thousands.
That bucket right there.
Thousands. Some oil.
Yeah, man.
Thousands of some oil.
Commercial.
You ever seen Silicon Valley?
Yeah, I saw all 5 seasons.
This guy's hilarious.
Yeah, he's all right.
Verizon, sponsor us.
He wanted to prove to you that he is clean now.
Yes, good morning again, George. And he claims
Classic,
no drugs
classic
right now, but
interview.
we did-
Classic interview.
In the corner, like, oh my God, it's all my mom's fault. Shut up. Shut up. Stop. Move forward.
Have you had any celebrities reach out to you to try and help you?
Yeah, like radical people like Sean Penn and Mel Gibson and Colin Farrell and just radical people, and they're not telling me what to do.
Who gave you the best piece of advice?
Well, they didn't give me any advice, and within that, there's great advice. It was just love. And
Wow. That's classic.
Just to
Why are we? What does this have to do with medical marijuana?
expression. Graham rocks and finishing them because that's how I roll. I have one speed. I have one gear.
What are we talking about? How much?
What are we talking about?
And I was banging 7 gram rocks and finishing them because that's how I roll. I have one speed. I have one gear.
How do you survive that?
Because I'm me.
Because I'm me. Tiger's blood.
Because I'm me. I'm different. I just have a different constitution. I have a different brain. I have a different heart. I have a different, I get tiger blood, man.
Tiger blood, man.
Worry that you're going to
You don't even know about it?
Take that many drugs.
Dying's for fools.
Dying's for fools. Why are we watching this? I love this, but why are we watching
It was off
this?
on the side. This is the reason why
Got tiger's blood, man.
You gotta let humans be humans, man.
Dying's for fools, okay? Wow, man. That's such a classic interview, dude.
We should stop persecuting people for bullshit, man.
Definitely. It's very odd that it's even being fought.
You want to know why?
You allow hydrocodone,
all that. Let everybody do whatever they want to do.
No.
Yes.
Again, I disagree with that. We can't just let everybody just do whatever they want to do. As
long as they're not hurting other people.
Because they will eventually hurt other people. When you take bath salts, you eat people's faces. Like,
it happened like once or twice.
No, it happened a lot. It happened a lot.
I don't know the actual facts.
Not the actual maybe face, but people acting out erratically, killing neighbors. And you know what?
But
fucking once is enough.
But all that stuff is hearsay because you don't have.
It's not hearsay.
Well, yeah, it happens, but the facts get shrouded with different contexts of that dilutes it because it's not regulated. When you regulate a drug and you add a tax and you control it, it becomes safe. You stop eating people's faces.
That's not true.
Let's look. Colorado is winning right now. Can you agree?
Yes, because it's weed.
Westward.com, where does Colorado's marijuana tax dollars go? Colorado has 3 main cannabis taxes: a 2.9% sales tax on medical marijuana, a so-called special sales tax on retail marijuana that went from 10% to 15% on July 1st, 2017,
that's
and
a hell of a tax.
Excise tax on retail marijuana. The MMJ sales tax pours entirely into the state's marijuana tax fund, which appropriated $118 million to a wide variety of government functions.
That's pretty good.
Around $41 million went to education and public health via the
$41
School Health
million to
Professionals
education.
Grant, the Good to Know campaign, a Healthy Kids Colorado survey, and assorted substance abuse prevention efforts.
Wow.
The Department of Human Services used its $32 million on substance abuse,
wow,
mental health, youth marijuana use prevention and treatment services. Another $16.5 million grouped under the construction/local category paid for affordable housing, local construction, and a local government retail marijuana impact grant. Law enforcement, public safety, and transportation got $2.7 million that was used in part to prevent marijuana impaired driving. On top of that, local law enforcement collected $5.9 million earmarked to combat illegal markets. And an unspecified amount was intended to fill state budget gaps. The special sales tax? It's divided between the general fund, which dispenses monies into both the marijuana tax fund and the state public school fund, and a silo for local governments that allow retail marijuana sales. Finally, the first $40 million from the excise tax goes into school construction, with any additional cash going to the public school permanent fund. The $13.3 million required to run the state's marijuana enforcement division isn't paid for by these taxes, it's listed as being separately funded. The Marijuana Industry Group points out that Colorado received $211 million in marijuana tax revenues during the 2016 to 2017 fiscal year, making it the 6th largest source of state revenues from taxes and fees.
217? Is that
the industry as a whole has created over 30,000 jobs and around $3 billion in economic impact.
$3 billion in economic impact.
Imagine if we legalized crack, heroin, bath salts. Bro, we'd bring the deficit out.
Yeah, but people be killing
and you get rid of stupid people.
Because people be killing each other? Stupid people killing?
Nah, it would be regular. You wouldn't get. People would be killing themselves.
Nah, you're still gonna go out the door and do dumb shit out the door. That's the problem.
What about just cocaine?
I don't know where it stops and starts. That's not for me to decide. I know weed's okay. The rest of it, mushrooms.
Bro, in 1 year, $200 and something million, $3 billion of possible profit for people. Man, bro,
it's a lot, man. They could do a lot of good. $40 million to education. Plus another
schools.
Plus another, what was it, 16 for this to build the actual school or whatever?
2.5 just letting it rain on the sheriff.
Yeah, here you go, bud.
Buy some more tanks
to stop people from smoking and driving,
and to $5 more million to combat the illegal trade.
Yeah, to stop illegal weed sales. Which, okay, it's weird that it's weird, unless they get like a license or something. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
exactly. You have like a home buyers,
right? Well, they're talking about cartels and like major operations and shit like that.
If
you look at the projected tax revenues in Washington State and in Colorado and also nationally, Colorado, $67 million, Washington, $560 million, a hypothetical look more nationally, $5.8 billion. What do you make of that, Dan?
Well, I think
this is from Washington Post.
Taxation revenue is the icing on the cake. I mean, for most Americans,
For people like Thompson that need factual places.
the reason that
Like
they want to
facts.
tax and regulate marijuana, again, is to no longer
Big facts.
arrest and prosecute adults for using something that's safer than alcohol. My
Boom.
background is as a prosecuting attorney, and I just felt like it was a waste of my time and my taxpayer dollars arresting people for something that's really just not a threat to public safety. So if we can, take revenue away from drug cartels and
You think this guy ever smoked?
Absolutely.
and reallocate law enforcement resources and do all of those things, that makes sense. And if we can maybe collect some tax revenue on top of that, then that's.
Bro, that's a lot of money, my friend. $5.8 billion.
That's with a B. It's a lot. That's a lot of
Imagine how much
school
more
desks.
crack would have added to that.
Yeah, but again, we don't want a bunch of people smoking crack and then walking around.
What if it's, I've said this before, but if it's chemical grade crack,
like better crack,
grown by like the guy from Mississippi that says no sticks, no seeds.
Do you grow crack?
Cocaine, whatever. Let's make good drugs for people. Let's regulate it.
No, I think the problem is people doing too much coke and walking around doing crazy shit, or doing too much bath salts, or doing a bunch of heroin and falling asleep on their baby.
I agreed, but Rick Scott and
You
people
smoke a
like-
lot of weed, you're not gonna kill anybody.
True, it's never killed anybody, but it's just a shame that the voters voted for it.
That's an issue, man. What the fuck is that about, right? That's the whole point of this whole exercise, right? You ask us a question. Now, I guess the other side of that is, what if some eccentric billionaire put together a whole group of people that said we need to make an amendment to something nuts?
Elon Musk, he smokes weed.
Yeah, but like
he was on Joe Rogan smoking.
Makes an amendment or proposes an amendment. That's why I was saying lawyers make laws. Like, this is weird or propose laws, because what if it's crazy? What if it's a nutso allow 15-year-old girls to marry, or 12-year-old girls to marry adults? That's like an amendment to the law or something.
I'm talking about laws that affect you on a personal level, not what you can do to other people. Just like, if I want to intake this stuff and be high at my home at my own demise, then I should be allowed to.
Yeah, but you're not going to be at your home if you're
how do you know that?
If crazy and want to run outside.
But that's another crime. That's you acting crazy. You should be arrested for acting crazy. Not, if you want to get high at your house and party, like, do it. If you step outside of that and you commit a crime like eating someone's face, then you should go to jail.
But we'd have more people eating faces.
We don't know that. That's what
we
they
don't
used to,
know that.
Reefer Madness used to think that if we legalized the Reefer Madness days in the 30s, they used to think everybody was going to be like that guy Victor and axe murder your people. And we know fucking 80 years later that, nah, it ain't that bad.
Nah, because that was about the weed. But if Reefer Madness was bath salt madness, they'd have a point.
Have you ever taken bath salts? Neither have I. I've done coke. I've popped some pills. I smoked weed. I've drank alcohol. I've popped ecstasy. None of these things made me wanted to eat faces, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm judging myself, so it's a complete biased opinion. But I think I'm pretty okay. I'm not a perfect person, but I'm not eating people's faces.
Yeah.
And I the majority of people are like us, right? And I think that we live in America, bro. We don't live in a Stalinist country, man. Like this, we should be allowed to do whatever the hell we want to do as long as it's not hurting somebody else.
Because, again,
especially if we vote for it.
If Reefer Madness was bath salt madness, they'd have a point.
But what if we are those people in the 30s now that are preventing the future generation?
Because weed hasn't really changed, other than maybe the strength of it. It's still the same.
What's changed? What's changed?
The strength of it.
Okay, that's true. But what else has changed?
What do you mean?
The perception and mentality.
Because people see it. I mean, there's probably people back then. for sure people back then that are like, what? There's nothing wrong with it, because it's obviously nothing actually wrong with it. But when you look at, like, again, and I'll just use meth or bath salts or whatever, too much alcohol, you know what I mean? Like, when you see those effects, those are actually dangerous. The thing that you're saying open the floodgates on have actually proven to be dangerous.
When you say that, I just see mad drunk people just coming at you.
No, but if it's legalized and it's, you know, quote unquote regulated and people get sent, it's not going to stay inside the home. It's going to spill out into the streets, and you're going to have people at the movie theater tripping the fuck out and decide to want to stab somebody next to him because the goddamn troll on the screen is jumping out of the screen and attacking you, and he's the dude next to you, but the dude next to you is some dude with a family and kid. He's my ass
because he hit the
and now I get stabbed or whatever because I'm just up there watching some Justin Timberlake movie with trolls or whatever.
You know that Oregon's trying to legalize mushrooms?
You know, that's more natural to me than...
You don't think somebody could freak out and stab somebody on mushrooms?
They definitely can. But if we're talking about the spectrum of problem drugs, I think mushrooms on the lower end.
Because?
It doesn't make people as aggressive that I've seen.
Because you've had experience with them.
No, not even just that. Like, there's documented experiences with more than just me. Again, I don't try to, like, generally look at things from my perspective. I think that's a waste of time. I know what my perspective is.
Okay.
Like, try to go with what somebody you disagree with. There's this, when you go to marriage counseling or something like that, I've never actually went, which is why I'm divorced. Hey, yo. But they do this thing where they say, your point is this, your husband's point is this, your wife's point is this. All right, wife, I want you to argue the point from your husband's perspective. All right, husband, I want you to argue the point from your wife's perspective, and you're forced to argue something you disagree with, but you're trying to defend it or whatever. So I try to see those people's perspective on things. And even in that, there's a lot of evidence to suggest getting high on bath salts cause you to become aggressive, your temperature to become really high, or PCP or something like that. You come really strong. You don't know what you're doing sometimes. Again, I'm sure there's people that recreationally do bath salts for whatever fucking reason.
Recreational bath salts.
They're able to handle it, and they can just sit in their house and watch Jeopardy and freak out because the people are getting the answer wrong. God damn it! It's Napoleon.
It's Thursday. Right? You know what time it is. It's the bath salt Thursday.
And but you know, again, there's never been an instance that I've seen of somebody smoking weed and beating somebody's homeless dude's ass in the middle of the street and eating his face. So if
that was on a highway.
On a highway, yeah. Or he needs some milk. Remember that guy? He was doing like breakdancing in the middle of the street.
Now, I remember for a while there was like the zombies. Everybody thought it was a zombie apocalypse because you see these random dudes on the Flocka
and the Spice and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
No, fuck all of that stuff that are killing people. You know, anything that hurts people, don't do it.
Yeah.
And don't regulate. Can't just like have people just like, yo, man, let's get together and, what do you say? Bang out some 8 balls or whatever.
7 grams.
7 grams because I'm a boss or whatever you were saying.
He's still alive, though.
He really is, man. Again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong as shit. Maybe we should open the floodgates and let everybody do whatever. I just don't think it's a good idea. It seems to me like a bad idea.
I agree totally with the eating face and having somebody show up at a movie theater or whatever. Like, there's crazy people. We're making things crazier. But it's just, man, the government sometimes needs to not, like, there's so much other things that y'all can be focusing on. And I'm not part of the government, but there's so many things that we could be focusing on, like poverty, and resources could be put towards that, right? And we could have, like, look at all the tax money that was going into education and addiction preventage and stuff like that. What if everything was legal and we had so much money that we can actually fund, you know, preventive measures, and we just had, like, facilities for people that are not supposed to be taking drugs. You know what I mean? But we're a free country, man, and I think the bottom line of
allegedly
true. But us, we have to try to make it as free as possible for our kids, because that's our job as the generation that's growing up right now.
I think my job is to get him prepared for the world that we live in, mostly. As far as trying to change it to make it better for him is just like sort of a bonus, I guess, that a good person would do or have. I don't think it's necessarily my job to make the world better for my son. I think it's awesome if I can. And, doing that could arguably take me away from my son in many ways.
That's very true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's more so, for me at least, trying to prepare him for this world.
No, that's real.
Telling him that these things exist and these problems exist and all this stuff, but changing it, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to do that, and maybe this situation, this podcast, all these little things that everybody does, maybe in a small way I'll be able to it, even if it is just giving him that information. And like what Tupac said, right? Sparking that flame in my son that makes him, maybe he changes it some sort of way. But yeah, I think you speak of education, which is interesting because Rick Scott cut the education budget like back in the day by $3 million or some shit, and then raised it by $1 million, or I know I'm getting the numbers wrong, but raised it by like a percentage of that, and it's so like, and then also anyway, this guy. It would be awesome if we could, somehow profit of that and get any kind of like the way they have, the Colorado has it laid out, especially $40 million, man. Can you imagine? We have like $3 million.
What do you think's gonna come first, the legalization, or are we gonna get recreational marijuana in Florida, or are we gonna get national decriminalization first? That's what I'm wondering.
No, it'd probably be I would say it'd be pretty much recreational everywhere before it's.
Think so?
Yeah, I guess it depends on who's president next.
Would you, if Trump, before he left office, if he legalized or decriminalized marijuana, would Trump be better in your eyes?
It'd be better.
I think people would start liking him more, or at least give him like a, you know what, you're a dickhead, but thanks for the marijuana.
Okay, sure, I guess. I don't know. It just seems like you wouldn't want him to do it.
Why?
Because you wouldn't want him to have that, like, card to play.
Nah, man. Fuck that. I'm not, nah.
Nah, because then he's like, you know what I did for you, right? Type shit.
I don't care about that. It's about the action.
Maybe the next person does it. I mean, it's not going to change any day to day for me necessarily, one way or the other. But Kamala Harris comes through and does it, or whoever else might.
Oprah.
Oprah's not going to be president. Hopefully not. There needs to be no celebrities in the White House. But I guess Kimberly? The person who gets elected is essentially a celebrity.
Kimberly for president.
We're not. No. I'm not even.
Well, I think that's it, right?
Okay. Yeah. Let's wrap it up there, Kimberly. Does she have anything else to say?
I don't think so. Not for this week.
Hey, my thing worked the whole time today. It didn't even start, but now it's like past the mark when it's supposed to start working.
You got to validate it for $19.
Monthly subscription. Low price, no commitment. No, I gotta pay one time. I'm not doing $19 a month. Fucking $200 a year. No.
Yo, it's the Fresh Produce Podcast. Email us at freshproducefloridamedia@gmail.
Oh, it's a mouthful.
freshproducefloridamedia@gmail. Please comment.
Ooh.
Join in on the conversation. Make sure you check our sponsor, justdoitvegan.com. Get yourself a t-shirt. Make a change in your life.
Yeah.
And try to make a change in other people's lives. And I'm not preaching to you. I'm just trying to speak to you. And mine and Thompson's life is getting better because Kimberly's part of it. I love you guys.
I know about all that.
And peace and love. Gang signs.
No sticks, no stems, no seeds. It's like, wow, bro.